Ladders are one of the most commonly used and abused tools in construction. Every year, hundreds of people are hurt while using ladders. From selecting the wrong ladder for the given task, to not properly setting up the ladder. There are many factors that can expose workers to ladder hazards and injuries. Hi, I'm Sergeant with Arthur and Hansen, and today we're going to be talking about how to safely use portable A-frame ladders. Year in and year out, falls are the leading cause of injuries and fatalities in the construction industry, accounting for 1/3 of all on-the-job deaths. One of the major contributors to these falls is using ladders. In 2016, 104 workers died due to falls from ladders, and an additional 7,140 workers were injured. In this video, we will discuss some of the hazards that workers may encounter while working on step ladders and explain how we can reduce those injuries. As I mentioned, today we'll be focusing on portable step ladders, which are self-supporting A-frame ladders. These ladders have 2 front side rails and 2 rear side rails. Generally, there are steps mounted between the front side rails and only bracing between the rear side rails. Let's start off by reviewing some of the common factors that lead to falls and injuries. Common factors include the ladder moving, which can happen when the ladder is not set up properly or is on an unstable surface. Workers overreaching instead of getting off the ladder and moving it closer to the area they need to reach. Workers slipping on rungs or steps by not wearing proper footwear. Defective components of the ladder such as its locking mechanism. And lastly, not selecting the ladder best fit for the job at hand. For example, a worker may place a ladder on top of a scaffold to reach a section because the ladder they selected is not long enough on its own. Now that we understand the common factors that may lead to a fall from ladders, how can we eliminate or reduce these hazards? Well, for starters, let's go over 3 simple principles that apply to safe ladder use. 1 is plan, 2 is provide, and 3 is to train. First, we need to plan ahead to understand what we need to accomplish the task. Note that planning ahead takes place before the job or task is started. It begins with understanding what the task is and what equipment you will need to complete the job safely. For step ladders, this means that they should be selected to meet the requirements of the person using it, the task they will be using it for, and the environment in which they will use the ladder. And this brings us to the second principle of ladder safety. Your employer is required to provide you with the equipment required to do your job safely. So the next time you need a ladder for a specific task, keep these things in mind. Determine where the work will be performed and the minimum height of the ladder so that the work can be done safely and comfortably. Account for all the weight you will place on the ladder and select the ladder strong enough to hold all the weight at one time. So be sure to consider your body weight and the weight of the materials, tools, or equipment that will be supported by the ladder. And remember to speak up and inform your employer if different equipment is required to safely complete the task. Once you have selected your ladder, a visual inspection for visible defects should be conducted by a competent person before using it. Defects may include structural damage such as split or bent side rails, broken or missing rungs, steps, or cleats, and missing or damaged safety devices. The ladder should also be inspected for any grease, dirt, or other contaminants that could cause slips or falls. And finally, inspect paint or stickers that could hide possible defects, except for warning or safety labels. And the last principle of ladder safety is training. We should never have workers perform a task or use equipment, such as a ladder, without being given the proper training first. The training should include the potential hazards that come with using a ladder, how to recognize those hazards, and the safe work practices they should follow to minimize those hazards. We highly recommend providing tailgate safety talks before shifts and encourage you to use this video and corresponding documents as part of those safety talks. Here are some safe work practices to follow when working with ladders. Read and follow all manufacturer's instructions and labels on the ladder. Maintain 3 points of contact when climbing or descending the ladder. Stay near the middle of the ladder and face the ladder while climbing up and down. Use a barricade to keep traffic away from the ladder in high activity areas. Wear non-slip footwear and keep ladders free of any slippery materials, and only put ladders on a stable and level surface that is not slippery. It is important that you keep these tips in mind when using the ladder and making sure that you implement them. On the other hand, here are some things to completely avoid and not to do when using a ladder. Don't use ladders for a purpose other than which they were designed for. For example, do not set up an A-frame ladder like an extension ladder by leaning it up against the wall. Don't use a step ladder with the spreaders unlocked. Do not use the top step or cap as a step, unless it is designed for such use. Do not place a ladder on boxes, barrels, or other unstable bases. Don't move or shift the ladder with the person or equipment on the ladder. Don't climb the cross bracing on the rear of step ladders. Don't use a damaged ladder. Don't leave tools, materials, or equipment on step ladders. Don't use metal step ladders near power lines or electrical equipment. Ladders are commonly used on construction sites and even at home in our everyday lives. Whenever we climb a ladder, we run the risk of falling that lead to serious injuries or even death. To help minimize those risks, We hope that you have gained a greater understanding of how to safely work on portable step ladders by watching this video. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on any future videos like these, and let us know what topics you would like for us to cover next in our future videos in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms to stay updated with the latest safety tips and tricks. And as always, be safe and thank you.